A single income once supported a family comfortably, whereas today, even dual incomes often struggle to cover basic expenses. Yet the rich have never been more rich. Something has gone terribly wrong. What is it? The chilling answer, confirmed by observers across the globe, from New Zealand to Eastern Europe, is simple. Something has gone terribly wrong, and it wasn't an accident. The economy is not failing, it is working exactly as planned. We are uncovering a systemic failure designed to erode purchasing power and labor value, forcing families to work more than ever before while struggling like never before. We must begin by identifying the root of the financial poison, the monetary system. The Great Betrayal occurred in 1971 when the US dollar was ripped from the gold standard. This abandonment of stability ushered in the fiat monetary experiment, a carefully constructed scheme that has systematically gutted the middle class ever since. With nothing tangible backing the dollar except government decree, the money taps were turned on, flooding the market. This perpetual printing, controlled by privately owned central banks like the Federal Reserve, is not fiscal policy. It is a mechanism for global slavery. The conspirators controlling our currency can manipulate and steadily absorb the wealth of the nation. Their weapon of choice? Inflation. They deliberately print money and lower interest rates, knowing that this destroys the purchasing power of the lower and middle classes. Why? Because the working poor spend a far larger percentage of their earnings on basic necessities, leaving them with less to build wealth. The working person is a slave to the bankers, as basic math proves that the entity charging interest will eventually own everything. But here is the cynical twist. While inflation crushes the worker, it exponentially benefits the wealthy. Inflation only increases the nominal value of the assets owned by the rich, allowing them to borrow off that inflated wealth and increase their fortunes while the middle class loses purchasing power. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The elites solidify their theft through the tax code. Look at the historical record. During the post-war era, the time of single-income affordability, the top marginal income tax rate in the U.S. peaked at 91% under President Eisenhower. But the architects of our decline, starting with figures like Reagan, deliberately slashed elite taxes and deregulated industries, handing out gigantic needless tax breaks and giveaways to financial ghouls and billionaires. Today, that tax rate stands at a mere 37%, replete with loopholes. The result of this engineered tax policy is simple. It is now cheaper from a tax perspective to keep the cash accumulating at the top than to pay out profits in the form of raises to the working people. Capitalism has been inverted into socialism for the billionaires, supported by government bailouts, tax breaks, and endless wars. The capture of our system goes deeper than regulation. The ultimate architectural flaw was the hijacking of the 14th Amendment in 1886. This deliberate fraud granted corporations protection as equally protected persons, allowing them to pursue predatory economics and profit at any cost. This legal weapon has been used over 900% more often to protect corporate profits than to protect human rights. This is the very root of our modern inequality, making the current reality where 10% of the population who own these entities control over 75% of the wealth, an inevitable catastrophe. To maintain control, the ruling class must suppress labor and crush any sense of independence. They have achieved this through two devastating methods. Labor overload. The workforce was effectively doubled when women were pushed to enter the labor force en masse, leading to a massive increase in supply and a corresponding drop in wages. This was compounded by the influx of immigrant workers, further contributing to labor abundance and wage suppression. When workers are abundant, their price is low. The systemic elimination of resistance. Unions, which historically empowered the working person, have been systematically demonized, destroyed, and nullified through a sustained campaign by the wealthy and their complicit government stooges. But their most insidious tactic is the manufactured distraction. We are constantly being pitted against each other over absurd wedge issues, trans rights, immigration, or celebrity scandals. They keep us arguing over trivial things to prevent us from recognizing the true fight, the class war, capital versus labor. This psyop is orchestrated by government-pressured corporate media, ensuring that, while we're busy fighting each other, the rich are free to steal hundreds of billions from us and funnel it offshore, buying up assets and driving up prices. They want us perpetually working, distracted by the struggle of merely existing, so we have no time to teach our children the truth. The game is accelerating toward a return to feudalism. The ruling class is moving to secure their bailout through your forced participation. They have used private equity to buy up businesses and ruin them by squeezing out every dollar. Now, stuck with a bunch of worthless garbage companies, they are engineering a horrifying plan, lobbying to include risky alternative assets and private equity in your 401k retirement funds. This is a direct, planned bailout of private equity using your retirement savings. They are setting a trap, hoping that average Americans will be tricked into investing their retirement into these garbage companies that the ultra-wealthy need to dump. Make no mistake, you are going to lose, and they will walk away richer. We are the forgotten class. We must stop blaming abstract politics and see the reality of the organized corruption that has been gaining power for 40 to 50 years. The solution, though simple, requires collective will. We must tax the obscenely wealthy. If the rich were taxed at the rates prevalent when one income could support a family, we could restore affordability. The ruling class fears one thing: our collective power. They know that if we all united, putting aside the tribal factions they manufactured to divide us, they could not stop us from making real change. The ultimate protest is the general strike, where we cease participation in their rigged economy. This requires organization to ensure we can answer the legitimate question of survival: how will I pay rent? But organizers are already working to make this possible. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We must recognize that we are highly educated, yet we were handed an economy of crash after crash. We must shape our reality, demanding a world where any working person can afford a house. The corruption is deep, and the current reality was inevitable. Get organized, because the fight is against those who possess the power to violate the rights of others without accountability.